It's lucky I'm pretending to be clever now because we're going to go straight over to the brilliant columnist for The Sun, The Sunday Times and The Spectator, Rod Liddle. Hi, Rod.
Hiya, mate.
Cigarette in hand. I presume you're smoking so you don't get the coronavirus.
That's exactly right, and it's done me proud for the last 7 months.
Did you see this? It's
still
funny.
one of
This
the
is.
things
Go on, carry on.
It's still one of the things which nobody's really made much of, but very, very few people indeed who smoke get the coronavirus. Maybe it's because we're antisocial anyway. I don't know.
They tried to demonize it in Spain. You are not alone. I've looked into it. And David Hockney wrote a letter, I think, to the Telegraph explaining, or was it The Guardian? Oh, that's right. No, he wrote a letter to The Guardian explaining why smoking will save you from catching the coronavirus. And The Guardian, in its infinite wisdom, decided not to publish it. And then I think he went to the Telegraph or the Mail and it got published. The thing is, he's talking the truth. Spain only recently said, oh, no, smoking is very bad for the coronavirus. It's not true. Statistically,
not true.
If you smoke, you've got much less chance of catching it.
No, that's true. And indeed, every single study has said the same thing, that the rate of COVID amongst people who smoke is much, much, much lower than the rate for the general population. And to the degree that in France, they've been treating COVID victims with nicotine patches.
Well,
almost worth catching it.
Well, I salute your health campaign. Everybody, start smoking. That I have to say that's a joke, but it actually is statistically a good way of not catching coronavirus is to light up. But I'm not advising anyone to smoke because it's very bad for you. I have to do that, Rod. You understand?
Of course.
On the general basis of coronavirus, the COVID crisis as it continues, it occurs to me that. And I know that I always agree with almost everything you write and say, but I'm not entirely on the same page with you about coronaphobia. You take an unusual path on that one for someone in The Spectator and The Sunday Times. But it occurs to me that this is the first time in human history that the whole world has kind of got together to fight a virus, a coordinated attempt around the world to beat off a germ. It's never been done before, and it strikes me it's not going at all well. And you whisper it quietly, it may be the case that what would be better for humanity would be, oh God, here's a terrible virus. I'm afraid we're just going to have to sit back and take it.
Yes, I do see that point. I've never agreed with it. As you say, I've not been on the same page as you on this issue, and not on the same page as most of my readers. And yet I keep seeing these opinion polls, which suggests that 80% down to 68%, I think that's the smallest one, are totally in favour of lockdown, totally in favour of it, in favour of all the measures that the government brings in. And yet, and this is what I'm writing about for the Sunday Times tomorrow, in all honesty, I haven't met anybody who agrees with these current restrictions. Nobody. You know, I'm up here in Middlesbrough, and everybody I speak to thinks it's an absurdity and that we will have to learn to live with the virus rather than continue wrecking the economy. And that goes against my belief, but it still seems to me that somehow the opinion polls are not reflecting the true feeling in this country, much as they failed to reflect the true feeling during Brexit, and much as they tend to underestimate Conservative votes in opinion polls. I think it's the same thing at work.
What do you think, Rod, that the end game is? This is what concerns me. As I said earlier,
you don't have an end game, Kevin.
So why is he doing all this, Boris and the health commissar Matt Hancock? Why are they doing this? What are they aiming for? That's what worries me. Will these strictures come in forever?
I don't think they know at all what they're doing. With some degree of fairness to them, this is a situation. But the idea that they have a master plan, which they are cunningly seeing through, I think is a very, very long way wide of the mark. And I don't think they've known what they were doing from day one. And at the moment, they've made 12 U-turns in the last 3 months on government policy I mean, it's remarkable. A few weeks ago, they were encouraging us to go out and get drunk and paying us to eat food. It's just one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. And now we're being told, we ought to be isolating a bit more and not going out.
It's a new campaign now, Eat In to help out.
Eat In to help out, yeah. They do not know what they are doing from one day to the next. And there's a few countries where that's similarly the case, but it's been particularly bad over here, I think.
What worries me, Rod, in the great scheme of things is, as I said earlier, this is the first time humanity has got together to try to fight a germ. And we have subjugated all of our economies. The entire world economy has been put on hold. In fact, some might say ruined, to fight the virus. And it hasn't worked out well. I don't think any country knows what the hell it's doing. It's confusing all over the globe. And what worries me is this the future? Is humanity going to spend its entire time going, oh my God, here's another flu bug. Close everything down. Let's fight. Now, a virus is a force of nature. Humanity cannot stop forces of nature. We're being too arrogant. We need to go back to just accepting that flus and viruses and germs and pandemics are going to come along and they're going to wipe some of us out. We need to accept it and not be so arrogant as to try to fight this.
I think the problem, if your thesis is right and that we can't defeat this and that if we do defeat it, the cost will be far greater than the cost of living with it. If you're right, I think the thing that we will be looking at a year from now is the degree to which we take advice from experts again.
Yeah,
I think it's that old question about experts again, because at the moment we've been following the advice largely from epidemiologists who use modelling patterns.
Yeah, like the bonking boffin.
I'm glad you put that in, the bonking boffin. But there are plenty of other experts who are not epidemiologists who will tell you, who will agree entirely with your thesis. Mm-hmm. Not least, obviously, the oncologists, the people who are experts in cancer, and indeed the economists will say the same thing. And I think what it will do is recalibrate the way in which we act upon expert advice. And the idea that simply because an epidemiologist says that 500,000 people are going to die, it may not be correct, which he did say. That's what was said by Neil Ferguson right at the outset of this. It could be 500,000. And who knows? Had we not done lockdown, perhaps it could have been. But nonetheless, we're going to have to be a bit more adult about science and understand that science doesn't deliver unassailable truths.
Absolutely.
It delivers suggestions.
And as you and I have agreed before, when you say you must listen to the experts, that's ridiculous, because on any given topic, I can get you two experts with polar opposite opinions.
That's exactly right.
Which one are we supposed to listen to? So yes, it's Michael Gove was right when he said, controversially, everyone's had enough of experts. And I think we've really had enough of experts in this coronavirus crisis. I'm not sure they help. We're getting a lot of divided opinions from them. I did get you on to talk about Tony Abbott. Let's just quickly get that one in. I thought it was a triumph. It was a triumph that he got the job of being our trade envoy. However, because a lot of intelligent people who abhor and hate cancel culture. I know you do, and I certainly do. Not saying that I'm intelligent, but I don't like cancel culture. As soon as Tony Abbott from Australia was appointed as our trade envoy, because he knows something about this, they all said, oh, well, he's got very, very dodgy opinions on homosexuality and gay marriage, so he can't have this job. What on earth has his conservative social opinions got to do with whether or not he can be the trade envoy? But the problem, I think, with the appointment of Tony Abbott is this is the guy that sorted out, when he was Prime Minister of Australia, he sorted out their migrant problem by saying, you don't get in because you've broken our laws. You come over on your boats, I'm going to stick you on an island, process your applications for political asylum in 3 weeks. And by the way, before you apply, I'll let you know you're going to fail because you come to this country illegally. It's sorted out their crisis. Why didn't we hire Tony Abbott to sort out our migrant crisis?
Yes, that would have been much better. You're absolutely right. He did a brilliant job, which Australia has since kind of gone back on. The interesting thing is that we talk about Tony Abbott having very conservative social views. They're social views which are probably shared by about 40 to 50% of the population.
Yeah.
You know, he led the campaign against gay marriage in Australia, and 40% voted against gay marriage in Australia. You know, you cannot suddenly excise 40% of the population and tell them they're never allowed to have jobs.
Cancel them. All 40%.
Cancel the population. Yeah, I mean, it's absurd. And it's also, of course, the case that it's very difficult for anyone to be appointed to a public body or to do work for the government over here if they are a conservative. We saw it with Roger Scruton, the late Roger Scruton, when he was removed from a planning board for developing houses in the country. We saw it with Toby Young. Because they have conservative social views, they are not allowed to do work in completely different areas. Now, I would argue they should be allowed to do work in those areas. I don't see there's anything wrong with Mr. Abbott expressing those views. He should be allowed to.
Yes.
But it's doubly mad, of course, when it's got nothing whatsoever to do with the subject at hand.
Exactly. Listen, Rod, thank you so much for your time on a Saturday morning. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Look forward to your column tomorrow in the Sunday Times, and come back and talk to us again soon. That was Rod Liddle, the brilliant columnist for The Sun, the Sunday Times and The Spectator. It takes a long time to read his career credentials.